Well, good morning, class. How's everyone doing today?
Great, Mr. Price, thank you.
How's everyone's weekend? We can have a couple people, one I'm on.
Oh,
Good. I'm Mr. Price. Nice to meet you.
I'm sorry, what was your name?
Tyler.
Tyler, great to
Why
meet
don't you
you,
introduce yourself to the
Tyler.
I'm Tyler Welchin. I'm going to be a junior at Creighton Prep. I have one here, 5th through 8th grade. So just
Great, thanks for coming, Tyler.
Anyone do anything math related over the weekend?
Oh, yeah.
The trick question. No.
I bought gas.
You bought gas. Good. So, but did anyone buy anything this weekend? Good. So we got some people buying something. Anyone else think they did anything math related? Teresa?
We drove, and we drove for 9 hours, and so we had to think, so like, how far did we drive in 9 hours?
Exactly right. That's an excellent point. So let's say, Teresa, you wanted to go to Notre Dame for some weird reason, and you knew how many miles it would take. So let's say it was like 205 miles. We know how many cars, well, let's see, know how many hours it would take, and we're just trying to figure out
How fast I was driving.
how fast you're going.
Really slow.
So, if we were going 200 miles, we're driving 9 miles an hour, trying to figure out how long it would take. So, one way that we can do this is what we're going to learn today, which is called using algebraic expressions. So the way that we would solve this would be to divide by 9 on each side so that x is by itself. When you divide 205 by 9, you get how fast we're going. You want to see how we're going? So this is just an intro activity. We're just trying to warm up our minds. So the first thing I want you to do is we're on this Padlet, Padlet.com, Jesuit EDU. I want you to click right here where it says Shamir Price, that is me, and hit that link for me. When you have that link, please close your computer. Good. Now everyone, please open your computer screen. And I would like for you to go to nearpod.com. So real quickly, when I click on my name, I'm going to go right over to Nearpod. I mean my little Weebly thing that I made this summer. And I want you to click where it says Nearpod Algebraic Expressions. And take a minute to log in so you can sign in right here. And if you have a Google account, you can press the Google button. So when you do that, go to where it says join, and I'm going to display a code for you. So when you get to the join page, please type in that access code. I see a few people back here have that screen. Good, so we're going to go down to join. We're going to put in DWMSG. Everyone there? Everyone there? Good. And you should be able to join, and the first slide is going to say algebraic expressions when math gets letters. So who would have thought before that we'd ever have letters A through Z in mathematics? Raise your hand. I did not. In 6th grade, this completely changed my world. I was like, I forget who her name was, but she was an interesting math teacher. I was like, why are there numbers? And there are numbers in math, that makes sense. Why are there letters? So again, our objective today will be for scholars to be able to evaluate algebraic expressions. So when we're using algebraic expressions, we're going to have a letter, and that's going to be called a variable. A variable is just something that's going to stand in for our unknown. So before we get started, I want to pre-assess you guys' knowledge. I want to figure out what you know. So I want you to go to the next slide where it says ready to take a quiz and go to go. and you have a couple of questions that I would like for you to do. Kind of see where we are so I can figure out where we're going in this thing called life. Yes. You may. That's an excellent question. Would you mind helping me in making sure that everyone gets a scrap piece of paper, please? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. When you are done with our pre-test or pre-assessment, please raise your hand. So you should have a thank you screen. You should not be online purchasing our next date night. Good, good. So one more, you want to take another couple minutes to finish up the pre-test. For asking that question, why do you stand? Okay. Yeah, just put your hand down. So let's try and wrap up in the next 30 seconds. I know it's a little, but it's not gonna, I just want to see what you can do. So it's not more about complete accuracy, just want to see where we're going, okay? Take your best educated guess. No, interesting. Slide is a little bit cut off, but what I wanted to get at was, has anyone ever heard of a guy named Malcolm X? Raise your hand if you've heard of him. Good. Do you think that X was his family name? So our last names are our family names. These are the names that are given to you because that is your family's name. So, who thinks that Malcolm X was his real last name? Anyone think that? No, it wasn't. He was actually born Malcolm Little right here in Omaha, Nebraska in 1925. So why do you think Malcolm X would have changed his last name from Little to X right here?
Well, because Little was the name that was given to him. It wasn't his true name. It was the name given to him. So
Excellent. There's a name given to him, and why do you think he might have resented that? You might have a follow-up on that, yes.
Because of other things that were going on in that time.
Good. So a lot of people say that our last names are our government names. These are the names that are given to us when we are born. It goes on our birth certificates, our social security cards, all of that. So he said, I don't want to be a part of that. I'm going to change my name to X. So what does X mean? Anyone seen X-Men? Good. Val, what were you going to say?
The Roman numeral 10.
Roman numeral 10, good. What else? What else could X represent? That's excellent. Not having a last name, because X means the unknown. So X is one of the more commonly used variables in mathematics in algebra. So simply put, X just means, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Bryce. So letters like X, Y, and Z can be used in mathematics to find the unknown. So a little bit of vocabulary for us. So we're going to take out our student-built glossary. So we have this graphic organizer that we're going to be using for the rest of the chapter. And Teresa, would you mind passing these out? So everyone's going to get 2 pieces of paper. One is front and back. The other one is half of the page. And I want you to go where it says at the end, variable. And I want you to fill in our vocab definition. A variable is a symbol, usually a letter, used to represent a number. When you're done writing down the definition for variable on the last page, yes,
Oh, I missed that.
okay.
Thank you. I think they're gonna need it too.
Okay. You're just trying to figure out what's going on. You go. Thank you. The last page, you should find variable. And I want you to copy down that definition for a variable. So again, it can be any letters, A through Z, but the most commonly used ones are X, Y, and Z. It just means you gotta know, we're trying to figure out what different mathematical problems are standing for. When you're done with the variable, the definition for variable, you can go to the first page where it says algebra, because algebra is a language of symbols that includes variables. So just like Tolkien makes all the languages in the Lord of the Rings, there are different languages even in mathematics that we use. Algebra is one that includes the use of variables. So we are at a critical nexus. So nexus, N-E-X-U-S, critical meeting point where different concepts meet. So we're meeting numbers and letters today. When you're done copying down that vocabulary, please tell me that you are done by putting your pen or pencil down and putting your hands in your lap. That's such a great job. Well, I'll tell you what my mind is thinking. All right, so I see pencils down, so I believe that means we are ready to move on. So, frequently asked questions. We usually get to this point where people say, why do we need to learn this, Mr. Bryce? Does anyone have that question in the back of their minds? Thank you for being bold and brave. So I had the exact same question when I was in 6th grade. Why do we need to learn this? Well, if we can evaluate algebraic expressions, we can figure out a universe of problems that we face in everyday life. So for instance, let's say in the summer you get a job, possibly mowing lawns, babysitting, different types of jobs that I know people do in the summer, and you make $10 a week. Well, you can calculate how long it would take you, how many weeks you would need to work if you wanted to buy a PlayStation 4 or 7 or whatever they are on today. The PS4, 3, 2. I remember back, this will age me. I remember back when the PlayStation 1 was the newest thing in town, and I remember having a blast with that. So, the way that we could set this up would be, first, let's choose a variable. What letter do we want to use? What letter do you like? What's your favorite letter?
T.
T, good. So we're gonna have T.
Good choice.
And how much money are we making in a week?
$75. Oh, would I have to read that?
Yes, Teresa, we have to read in math because there are still letters in math.
I'm sorry.
What was that? $10, good. So we have $10. So I'm gonna put this right in front of the variable. So that means that we're gonna be multiplying 10 times T, which is the number of weeks we're gonna work. And how much is the PlayStation 4? $400, good. So our algebraic expression is gonna read 10T, 10 times T, 10 times the number of weeks is going to equal 400. So if we think back to what we've been doing in the past couple days, and we're going to think about inverse operations using the opposite mathematical operation to solve our problem, what math operation is the opposite of multiplication? Good. Division, excellent. So we're going to divide this multiplication problem. So we are going to divide 400 by 10. Now I'm getting old. My mind is getting old. I can't calculate all these numbers that fast anymore. So what is 400 divided by 10? Well,
40.
40. So that means it would take you 40 weeks making $10 in order to buy the PlayStation 4. Does anyone have any preliminary questions on how we can do this? We're going to get to some more examples, but I just want to take a pulse of how we think we're doing. Is this starting to make a little bit more sense? Good. So, the next thing I want you to do, I want you to go back to the Weebly account, so back to SEBRSICE, that Weebly, and I would like you to connect. I would like you to connect on Connect Ed.
No.
Right here where it says Connect Ed. And it's gonna have a username and a password. So I know a lot of people forget their passwords and usernames over the long weekend. That's fine. So please take a card and can you finish passing those out? So your username is going to be all in capital letters. So you can press the shift button, you can type it in, you can put cap lock, but remember to take it off when you're trying to get into the password. Let's go, come on. Doesn't matter. And you're gonna type in your username first. So all these are capital letters, SHAMIRB. That's my name. You cannot call me Shamir though. Only my mother can do that. Yes.
Is this a 1 and an I or no?
Good question. That is an I. So please type in your username and password. When you are done typing that in, please try and enter it. If you have a problem, I will be around to try and rectify it. So let's see. Yeah, so again, I'm sorry, I might not have clarified that. The first one, the username is going to be all in capital, but only the first letter of the password will be capitalized. Is anyone having any trouble logging in? When you're done logging in, please close your screen. Good. Mhm. So Valerie, you may open your laptop screen as well as the rest of the class. And we are going to go to our math book because I forgot to bring your math books in today. So you are going to go to the e-book, which I believe looks like the cover. So press there and go into the right-hand corner where it says e-book. You are going to come to a screen that will load and it will look exactly like your printed book that we just received. So when you get there, I'd like for you to type in page 449 here and press enter, and you'll go right to our lesson page, which is algebra, variables, and expressions.
Mr. Rice, where do I put in the
Right here at
page
the
number?
Yep, right here. Let's see. Your screen. Right here.
Thank you.
Good. So when everyone is on page 449, please raise your hands. Thank you. So our first activity is going to be our vocab startup. So we already have defined variable as a symbol, usually a letter used to represent a number. So for the next part of class, which is 5 minutes, which will magically be turned into 5 seconds, you're going to complete this vocabulary startup with the math meaning, the everyday meaning, examples, and non-example of the word variable. So the math meaning will be our math definition that we just learned about, and variable would be just the dictionary usage, how people use the word variable in everyday life. So one person is going to get the dictionary, and they are going to use dictionary.com to look up everyday meanings of the term variable. The next person in the group is going to look up everyday an example of this. So write down an example of what a variable would be in an algebraic expression. And then the next partner is going to be working on a non-example. So one way that we could not have a variable in a math sentence. So right off the bat, what would be a non-example of a variable? Knowing what you know now about what a variable is, what is a non-example of a variable? Teresa.
Any number.
Good. So specifically, give me a number,
6.
Valerie.
431.
Good. That's a big one. 431. 22. Not 21 though. I've heard that joke, children. I'm not gonna say 21 in this class. So good. So that would be our warm-up activity. And now I'd like for everyone to turn to page 450. Because on 450, that is where we are getting into the modeling, the meat of this lesson of trying to evaluate algebraic expressions. So we have, if I can find a marker.
Other side.
Other side.
Right.
Oh, thank you. We have gone through the first parts of our engagement. Oh,
Each on his.
this is what I was looking for. This is what I came for. So again, an algebraic expression contains at least one variable and at least one operation. So can someone give me an example of a math operation? We started with the order of operations previously. What is a math operation? I will give you a hint. There are 4 of them. You've done all of them since grade school. What do you think? Emily?
Addition?
Addition, good. What would be another one? Excellent. Another one. And another one.
Division.
Division, good. So we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So you're going to have one of those as well as a variable, a letter, and a number. So again, we have x, which can be our variable. To avoid confusion with the symbol x, there are many ways that we can show that multiplication relationship. You could have 5 times 5 dot x. You could have 5 in parentheses x. And you could also have just 5x. So those all show multiplication relationships. So we're going to get started on example number 1. It says evaluate. Evaluate. What does evaluate? You want to come up with that? I have it in my objective. I have it here on this page. But I'm trying to think, what does evaluate mean? What do we do when we evaluate something? Teresa.
Solve it.
Good, we solve it. We're trying to figure it out. So our first example is going to be 16 plus b. And it says we're going to have b equaling 25. So where we have b, we are just going to insert the number 25. So we're going to have 16 plus 25. What is 16 plus 25? Emily?
41.
41, exactly right. For number 2, it says evaluate x, so solve x minus y if x equals 64 and y equals 27. So right below where we have x minus y, I'm going to put x is 64, y is 27. So we can simply subtract these two, 64 minus 27, and what is that going to give us for our final answer?
37.
37, good. And then finally, for example number 3, we have 6x. So 6 times x, and x is going to equal 1/2. So we're going to multiply 6 times 1/2. So what is 6 times 1/2? Do you want to remember how we multiply and divide fractions? Val?
3.
It's going to be 3, good. So I'm going to put the answer down here. That's correct, Val. So we're going to put 6, and we're going to put 6 over what to multiply this?
27.
2.
Not 2.
Wait, 6. 1.
1, good. So when we're
Oh.
multiplying fractions, it's best to make sure they're both fractions. Or we can make this fraction into a decimal. There's a lot of different ways. Well, the easiest way is we can make a non-fraction number into a fraction and just put it over 1. So 6 over 1 times 1/2. Now we can multiply 6 times 1. What is 6 times 1? 6 times 1.
Oh, 6 times.
Good. Teresa, what is 2 times 1?
2,
And then, Emily, what is 6 divided by 2?
3.
3. Good. So that was a quick lesson. Yes, any questions?
Well, then you easy way that you have to start processing.
Good. You can do that as well. That's an excellent point. Thank you. Well, so yeah, so when you multiply fractions, you cross multiply and divide. When you do multiplication of fractions, you go from left to right.
Right, but if you cross simplify, you put the 6, you just get rid of
Yeah,
the 2
oh yeah.
ones.
Oh,
So
so
I agree.
cross simplify. I'm sorry, you know my ears are getting old.
You get rid
So
of
what
the
you're
2
saying is we can divide 2 by 2 and then 6 by 2, and that would just give us 3 over 1 times 1 over 1.
Yeah.
Then multiply that way. That would also work.
Yeah.
So I would like for you right now, on a scrap piece of paper, you have your screen. I would like for you to do guided questions A and B. So for these ones, it says evaluate each expression if A equals 6, B equals 4, and C equals 1/3. So for example A, it has A plus 8. So what are we going to replace A with? 6. So we're going to have 6 plus 8. And when we add 6 plus 8, what are we going to get for our final answer on A? 14, good. So I'd like for you to do B, which is A minus B, on your own. When you are done with A minus B, please put your pen or pencil on your desk and close your laptop. Excellent. So you may reopen your laptop screen. When we subtract A minus B, or 6 minus 4, what is going to be our final answer for B? So the gentleman in the front row. It's 2, exactly right. So this is what we should have on our lines right here. If you had your book in print, you would write in 14 and 2 right there on the left-hand side. So, was that Teresa?
Do I have that button?
Oh no, that's only the teachers. You don't get the answers. You gotta figure that out on your own. So, before we get into guided practice, where we're gonna be breaking into some groups. Does anyone have any preliminary questions before my back read? I'll give you 30 more seconds to kind of pluck up the courage. Pluck is a good word. It means you're trying to gather it. Good. So we are going to move into guided practice. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is a variety of options. So we're going to go back to why don't you minimize your book page and go back to the Weebly page. And there are a couple different things. One group can get working on a exact quiz, which you will be practicing our algebraic expressions. Group 2, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is some practices on IXM, which will load in 3, 2. And for the final group, which will be working with me, we are going to continue working on Connect Ed, and we are going to be moving on to the guided practice, which is on page 452. So are there any questions on what we're doing? I'm going to break us into groups in 1 second. So one group will be working on the guided practice in the textbook with me to start off with for about 10 to 15 minutes. The second group is going to be working on IXL, practicing those quietly for 10 to 15 minutes. And then the next group is going to be working on that quiz on algebraic expressions as well for 10 to 15 minutes. After 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to switch it up and we're going to go on a second mission. So we're going to move around the room. And then after that, we're going to go on another mission. Good. So I would like to have the gentlemen first. We're going to be working on guided practice questions 1 through 6 together. Let's see. And our ladies because we have a short class today, I would like you all to get started on the IXL questions. All right, gentlemen. So for number one, our guided practice is 3 plus m. That's right. So Val, if you're done with your things, then we can move on to that.
I know that's the 10 minutes. All right.
So we're going to say 3 plus m. So what do you think we're going to replace n with for number 4? Good. So what is 3 plus m? What's that? The other one's right. Next, for number 2, we're going to have z minus m. So what are we going to replace z with? 9, good. So we're going to have 9, and then what are we going to replace m with right here? Good. So what is 9 minus 4 going to give us for number 2? And then for number 3, we have 12r. So what math operation do you think we're going to use for that one? Remember, our operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication. Okay? We're going to multiply 12 times 1 6. I'd like you to do that multiplication. So would you like helping me actually? So you can help me. I'm just kind of going around, and if anyone's having problems, can you just assist me? Yes. Okay, so you can go to you let that go. All right, everyone. So this is the time where we can switch it up, and the group in the front would go back and start working on that quiz in the IXL, and then the ladies would come up and we would work together on the guided practice book. So one thing that we always like to do is have an exit ticket, so an exit test to figure out, did I teach well? Should we fire Mr. Bryce today? So when we go to, we're going to go back to the Weebly page, so sebrice.weebly.com. And we are going to go to the bottom, and it's going to say exit ticket quiz. And that's going to be 5 questions over algebraic expressions that we kind of learned today. When you are done, please submit it so I can see it. You can look at it later after you guys are gone. And you may close your laptops. You can leave it just here. Is that Juicy. Eager to be excited.
So you can see that function.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to wrap in.
Yeah, yeah.
Outline. Yeah, in front there.
I see 3 out of 5 are you done, Francesca? So tell me you're done by closing. So we got 4 out of 5 who have wrapped up the exit ticket. That is excellent, Teresa. Feel free to just keep taking your time. But we're going to kind of close up shop today. And I want to try and figure out again. So let's quickly review. So you want to remember using your own words what a variable is. Someone give me a student-made definition. So if you do not recall, you can look at your student-made glossary, and we'll help you too right here. You got a letter, and that's used to represent what? Good, a missing number, the unknown, excellent. So what famous person had a variable for his last name, Teresa?
Malcolm X.
Malcolm X, exactly, because Malcolm X he went for the unknown. He wanted to go for the more in life. Some people might say the modest. So, variables represent the unknown in mathematics. And how can we use this in our own lives? How do you think we can figure out how can we use variables in our own lives? Anyone? Well,
To figure out how much something costs.
good to figure out costs. Everyone has to buy something eventually, whether it's gum at the candy store or a house. So you can figure out how you can calculate costs using algebraic expressions. Excellent. So for homework, you're going to be working on the independent practice page. So if everyone can open their laptops back up and go back to the ConnectEd ebook, the ebook is going to have an independent practice page starting on page 453. So your homework will be to do question numbers 1 through 10 on the independent practice page on page 452. Are there any questions, concerns before we go? Thank you.
All right. Shamir.